The topic of unreleased games is one that fascinates myself and so many other game fans, from the reasons why certain projects were cancelled or held back from official release, to the never-ending what-ifs that come up if said projects had actually hit the market. Once in a while, old code of these games, complete or otherwise, gets leaked onto the internet for people to check out and enjoy, which is awesome. However, there are hundreds, probably thousands of such games that remain lost to time and circumstance. A real shame. Since starting up my series on video game videos from Japan, aptly named Video Games on Video, I've come across a few clips of titles that never saw the light of day, not just in the West, but anywhere. Such as the PS1 RPGs Twinbee Miracle from Konami and Paradise Lost from ASCII. But one title from the company Naxat that I discovered on an old tape is so obscure there's almost no trace of it on the internet in English or Japanese. That title is Souseikishou VORG, or Chapter of Genesis VORG, a 3D real-time strategy war simulation game set in space. The tape I originally discovered this footage on was produced in 1994 by JESNet, the Japan Entertainment Software Sales Network, one of the largest video game distribution companies in the nation, now majority owned by Nintendo. Entitled Terebi Game Shinsaku no Goanai Volume 7, or New Video Game Information Volume 7, it's essentially a demo of upcoming video game titles for stores to pre-order, containing gameplay footage, sales points, and pricing and release date info. The tape came with an order list for this very purpose. There are 10 titles featured on the tape, including Captain Commando from Capcom and several Atlas titles, and 3 offerings from Naxat, the PC Engine port of the arcade hit Super Real Mahjong PV Custom, the elusive scrolling action RPG Holy Umbrella, and of course the unreleased game this video is all about. Funny enough, as I was working on this video, I found another tape that contains the exact same footage of VORG, a similar sales style VHS that was produced and distributed by Naxat themselves, which also contains the previews of Super Real Mahjong and Holy Umbrella. This tape is dated from December 9th, 1994 and is in better shape than the JESNet one, so thankfully we have clearer video to look at. As mentioned earlier, the game was developed as a real-time space war simulation, boasting 3D battlefields and polygonal models. Obviously this looks simple by today's standards, but it would have still been impressive back in the early and mid-90s. The player would have taken on the role of the leader of one of 4 great galactic space powers, with 1 or more fleets at your command at a time. The story is described as epic and sweeping in scale, told over many separate missions broken up by several game scenarios. The video mentions 5 scenarios total, but the paper leaflet that accompanied the tape mentions 15. Players would control their fleet, indicated as a green icon on the map, and try to obliterate their enemies, displayed in red. The colored titles on the map were to be avoided by the player as they damage and slow down any fleet traversing over them. A space fleet could assume one of 5 formations, each with an important role to play as the battle unfolded, increasing attack, fortifying defenses, those kinds of things. And since this is a real-time strategy game, formation changes happen on the fly. VORG was to include support for the Super Famicom mouse, and I'm sure it would have provided the most natural way to control the game. While the player maneuvers his space armada on the bottom 2/3 of the screen, the top third is occupied by pixel art meant to visually represent the action taking place on the admittedly simple-looking battlefield, as well as display character portraits and dialogue. You may have already noticed the interesting art direction, and if so, that was expected because the character and ship designs were to be one of VORG's biggest selling points. The artist responsible for them was Ko Yokoyama, a fantastic Japanese science fiction artist known for his mechanical designs, particularly power suits, and is the creator of the popular Machinen Krieger universe and the model kits derived from it. The pamphlet that came bundled with the Naxat tape includes some line art for the spacecraft in this game. I'm not an expert on the man's work, so I'm not sure if these designs ever popped up in any of Mr. Yokoyama's other projects. As an aside, this pamphlet also mentions that Naxat planned on sending stores promotional leaflets and posters. If any of these were actually ever produced and sent out, I do not know. Another more obvious mystery is why this game was never released. It seems like it was pretty far along in development, with a proposed release window of March of 1995, only a few months away from the distribution of these tapes. Additionally, VORG had its own JAN code, the barcode system which stands for Japanese article numbering, and a pending MSRP of 11,800 yen, tax excluded, a pretty hefty price that was the norm for RPGs of the era. Could the high price point have been a factor leading to the game's cancellation? Pre-orders opened up for VORG early in '95 on January 10th. Perhaps retailers didn't have much confidence in the sales potential of such an expensive game that wasn't called Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest. Or maybe development was proving too difficult or time-consuming, and Naxat just dropped the axe on the whole project to cut losses. Or maybe the game just wasn't any fun, who knows. But perhaps the most important question is, are there any ROMs of the finished or unfinished game out there? Surely, someone has to have something playable, whether it's a former Naxat employee or some affluent ROM hoarding collector. Whatever the case, hopefully we'll get a chance someday to experience this game and see if its status as an unreleased Super Famicom title was a tragedy or justified. From here on, I'll play the roughly 4-minute original promotional video segment for VORG, which I've subtitled in English. If you want to see it without subtitles, or just want to watch it again for some reason without the rest of this video preceding it, I'll upload both versions to my second channel, the IGFTW Dump. Anyway, thank you for watching. This is Jimmy Hoppa from Import Gaming for the win. Take care and enjoy the show.
大宇宙を制するのは誰か。超本格化 SF シミュレーションついに完成。創世紀章ヴォーグ。壮大な大宇宙を舞台に巨大艦隊が激しい攻防を繰り広げる。ナグザットが送る新感覚のリアルタイムシミュレーションがついにスーパーファミコンに登場だ。君は宇宙の四大勢力の一つディーダーパイレーツの指揮官となり、巨大複合艦隊を操り、さまざまなミッションを遂行しなくてはならない。マップ上には自軍及び敵の位置が表示される。緑色が君の艦隊、そして赤が敵艦隊だ。プレイヤーは自分の艦隊の進路を決定し、敵と戦うことになる。マップ上の赤や青のマスは通過するとダメージを受けるので、できるだけ避けて通りたい。また緑のマスはスピードが遅くなる。このように進路の決定は重要な要素となるのだ。戦闘はお互いの距離が縮まると自動的に行われる。これら全てがリアルタイムなので、ちょっとしたミスが命取りになりかねない。指揮官として冷静な判断をしよう。艦隊にはフォーメーション、つまり陣形がある。攻撃を優先するか守りを固めるかは君の判断で決まる。陣形によってマップ上の艦隊表示が変化するので、敵の状態をよく見ながら決定を下そう。これは集中攻撃型の陣形。戦力を一点に集中させているので、破壊力があり大軍の中央突破に有効だ。包囲攻撃。敵を3方向から囲んで攻撃するので、中央突破を狙ってくる艦隊に有効な陣形だ。そして防衛陣形。その名の通り守りを最優先させた陣形だ。ただし中央からの攻撃に弱いので注意が必要だ。最後は広角応戦。戦力を最も効率的に使えるマルチタイプの陣形。ただし背後からの攻撃にやや弱い。このゲームの目的は与えられたミッションによって異なってくる。ミッション1では戦闘で不足したリーダーパイレーツの物資を補給しなくてはならない。目指すは敵の補給部隊だ。マップを見れば敵が青いマスの集中した地点にいることがわかる。こんな場合はすぐに攻撃を仕掛けない方が賢明だ。牽制しながら青いマスをより多く取らせ、弱ったところで一気に叩こう。ミッション2は敵の防衛艦隊を倒し、回廊を突破することになる。敵のドック惑星を奪い取る目的のためだ。なおこのミッションでは自分の艦隊が2つ与えられる。複数の艦隊を持った場合、進路をうまく取り、敵をマップの隅に追い込んでいく攻撃方法が有効だろう。ただし敵の動きや陣形をよくチェックしておかないと、逆に回り込まれる可能性もある。焦らず慎重に行動することが大切だ。スーパーファミコンマウス対応で操作も簡単。君の戦略が全てを決める。頭脳と勇気が要求される知的シミュレーションの決定版。壮大なスケールとドラマチックなシナリオが熱いバトルを盛り上げる。君はこの宇宙を制することができるか。創世紀章ヴォーグ。95年3月、戦いは始まる。